Shocking encounter. Little girl's haunting question to the CEO. At midnight, what happens next? The clock struck 12, echoing through the empty halls of the towering office building that housed Verde Tech, the crown jewel of the tech world. It had a glassy exterior that reflected the moonlight, giving it an eerie glow. Inside, Nathaniel Grant, the CEO with a reputation for ruthlessness, pored over documents, oblivious. His furrowed brow and tight jaw showed the pressure he was under. But that night, something stirred in the shadows. From the very corner of that spacious room, through the flickering fluorescent lights, a little girl appeared seemingly out of nowhere. Her appearance was striking, short, with twists of dark hair cascading down, wearing a fraying pink dress that looked too big for her small frame. Something was off. The air turned thick. She stood there, mere inches from Nathaniel's desk, eyes wide and soulful, reflecting a sadness that made him shiver involuntarily. "What is so important that you're still here?" The words barely left his lips when she answered. "Are you a good man, Mr. Grant?" Her voice was as soft as a whisper, yet it cut through the night air like a knife. There was an unnerving stillness, the kind that dripped with tension. Nathaniel blinked, eyes darting around, searching for security. He could feel the temperature drop. Goosebumps spread across his arms as he attempted to comprehend this bizarre situation. "Why are you asking me that? What do you want?" Panic threatened to creep into his tone. The girl stepped closer, her bare feet silent against the cold floor, and her gaze intensified, almost as if she was peering into his very soul. It made his heart race. Outside, the city hummed with life. But in that lonely office, an unsettling silence reigned. Nathaniel's mind raced. There were rumors swirling about him in the industry, whispers of shady deals behind closed doors. The little girl's question sent shivers down his spine, piercing deeper than any article he'd read about himself. "People say you hurt them," she continued, unflinching, her innocence in stark contrast to the weight her words carried. He felt a tightening in his chest, as if the air had been sucked out of the room. Could she really know? Was this a haunting, or merely a figment of his overworked mind? "Shoo!" He motioned for her to be quiet, but she merely tilted her head, the moonlight casting a silver glow on her tiny form, illuminating the way her small fingers trailed across the polished wooden surface of his desk, almost delicately, as if she sensed the tension that lay there like a heavy blanket. Then, suddenly, the familiar chime of his phone broke the spell, ringing in the dead silence. He looked down, heart racing as he realized it was a message from an unknown number. It was cryptic but demandingly clear. "You'll have to answer her, or everything will change before we continue with this amazing story. I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect." His breathing quickened. The girl was watching him, still waiting, still expectant. Her wide eyes seemed to hold a million questions, and somehow, she felt like a ghost of his past. "I don't hurt anyone," he stammered, the lump in his throat growing larger. The air felt thick, stuck between truth and deception. "Then you won't mind telling me how many lives you've broken, will you?" "It's just a number," she pressed. Each word she uttered felt like an impact, wrapping tighter around his heart. This was nothing more than a child's innocent question, yet it felt like a terrifying reckoning. Nathaniel forced a laugh, but it fell flat. Each tick of the clock backstoried the weight of his decisions. "What do you want me to say?" Her eyes narrowed, and she took another step forward, closing the gap. The shadows stretched behind her like dark tendrils reaching into the unknown. Just what happens next? The question loomed, a silent challenge tangled with the cold air. What would happen if he didn't answer her? Would this moment be the precipice of something monstrous? Would he brave the truth or cripple under the weight of his secrets? As her small fingers dug into the edge of the desk, Nathaniel felt the room tilting on the brink of something uncontrollable, leaving the unsettling question hanging between them, begging for an answer. The words hung in the air, thick like smoke, and Nathaniel felt as if he were being suffocated by the weight of them. The shadows seemed to grow darker, folding in around them as if they were alive, waiting for him to speak, to reveal the truth or perhaps the lies. The clock ticked on, each second feeling like an eternity, and the muted ambience of the office drew an edge of desperation through his veins. The little girl, untouched by the gravity of the world outside, stood there, her gaze unyielding. It was penetrating, stirring up memories he wished he could bury deep. He trusted no one, not even himself. Why do you care? He snapped, more forcefully than intended. What do you think? She shot back, her innocent voice cutting through him like a blade. The defiance in her tone sent chills down his spine. For a fleeting moment, he felt like the terrified child he had once been, caught in the crossfire of adult chaos. What do you know about me? He demanded, struggling against her unsettling scrutiny. Every nerve screamed at him to recoil, to dismiss this bizarre encounter as a figment of his weary imagination. Yet, she was there, undeniably real. More than you know, Mr. Grant, she replied, tilting her head to the side, her dark eyes shimmering with understanding beyond her years. I know that honesty can hurt, just like you've hurt others. I know you haven't always been truthful. His heart thudded, a rebellion of guilt surfacing, claws scraping against the walls of his mind. Memories flashed broken promises, deals gone wrong, faces of those he'd trodden upon on his ascent to the top. He almost felt the reverberations of their pain echoing in the room. Stop it, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. But she didn't budge. Instead, she took another step closer, narrowing the already minimal space between them. You can't run from the truth, she insisted, her tone softened yet saturated with a resolve that surprised him. What happens next depends on you, Mr. Grant. He could see it now. This was a test. A reckoning. The mocking face of his past loomed larger than the shadows surrounding them. Guilt coiled around his throat, tightening its grip as the question became clear. Did he owe anything to those he had hurt? Do you even know who I am? He pressed, but doubt flared within. Did she know too much? I know the weight you carry, she replied, undeterred, her small hand resting firmly on the desk, fingers tapping the surface as though she were counting each life he had touched. You can change everything by simply saying the truth. Nathaniel felt anger flare against her, against himself. And what if the truth is too ugly? What if I can't? Her lips curled into a fleeting smile, almost pitying. Then you'll know what the cost is. Everything shifted as she spoke, the air turning electric with unspoken challenge. The urgency filled the room, wrapping around him in a vice. He wanted to dismiss it all, this strange encounter, but his heart struggled against the impulse. The weight of her eyes bore into him, a reflection of all he didn't want to face. Choose, Mr. Grant. Her voice carried an echo of finality, pushing him toward a precipice he could sense, yet was terrified to approach. Just then, his phone buzzed again, a sudden interruption slicing through the tension. Nathaniel glanced down, dread pooling in his stomach. The screen flickered defiantly, revealing another ominous message. Make your choice before dawn, or you lose everything, including her. Panic gripped him as he raised his gaze back to the girl. But she was suddenly still, no longer pleading, but awaiting whatever fate he would select. The weight of consequence surged behind his eyes. There she stood, an emblem of everything he had tried to overlook. What would he decide? Would he face the truth, or let the haunting shadows of his past drag him deeper into darkness? And as he opened his mouth to respond, one question echoed in the depth of his mind. What if the choice he made tonight could alter the lives of many more than just his own? The room felt like it was closing in on him, the walls pressing tighter, suffocating every thought he tried to grasp. Nathaniel's pulse quickened as he struggled to focus. The distant ticking of the clock became a feverish drumbeat, each tick reminding him of the dwindling time left to make a decision. Mr. Grant? The girl's voice broke through his chaotic thoughts, gentle yet resolute. What will it be? He felt the weight of her question, a heavy anchor pulling him down into the depths of his own choices. He opened his mouth, searching for the right words, but what could he say? Nothing felt adequate to cover the lives he detangled in his rise for success. Please, he finally managed, frustration igniting the desperation. I need to think. The girl merely nodded, as if imparting upon him a reluctant understanding. With indecision clouding his mind, He paced the room, his steps erratic and his breathing shallow. Was this his chance to redeem himself, to come clean, or was it merely a cruel trick? Every memory that flickered through his mind, flashbacks of betrayal and deceit, added to his inner turmoil. He glanced at the girl again, who stood unmoving, her eyes fixed on him as though she could see straight through the facade. Her innocence was a stark contrast to the turmoil brewing within him. If only she understood the nature of the world, he had navigated the ruthless game of power where honesty was a liability. What if I tell you the truth, and it changes nothing? He questioned, a waft of hopelessness threading through his voice. What if I still lose everything? I don't know, she replied softly. But I do know you'll know who you really are. Her words hit him hard, reverberating in his mind. The thought of losing everything was a bitter pill to swallow. But what about the lives entwined with his? Hadn't he grown to despise what he had become? Guilt, he realized, wasn't just about the past. It was about the future too, the paths he could choose. He turned away from the girl, fists clenched at his sides. Outside, the wind roared as if sensing the change in him, the storm brewing, the tempest of his emotions raging against the calm facade he had maintained for so long. Suddenly, a chilling thought pierced through. What if the girl was merely a figment of his fractured psyche, a manifestation of his conscience demanding justice? Am I insane? He muttered, staring at his reflection in the glass that lined the office walls. No, she interjected, her voice steady and calm. You're just afraid. In that moment, Nathaniel felt a sense of clarity amid the chaos. Perhaps this was the very reckoning he had feared, a final call to confront his past instead of hiding from it. The thought scared him more than anything else. He inhaled slowly, preparing to order the darkness he felt swirling within to quieten down just enough to hear the voice of truth. Okay, he said finally, turning back to face her, heart pounding in his chest like a war drum. I'll do it. I'll tell the truth. But as he spoke those words, the ground beneath him seemed to tremble. A low rumble vibrated through the very air, and the lights flickered ominously overhead. What is happening? He asked, his voice rising with panic. The girl merely smiled, a glimmer of something more than innocence in her eyes. You have to be ready for the consequences, Mr. Grant. The truth brings change, and change can be unpredictable. Just then, Nathaniel's phone buzzed again, this time with a menacing urgency. He could hardly breathe as he reached for the screen. The message read, "You chose poorly. Prepare for darkness." His heart sank as shadows twisted and writhed along the walls. Before he could react, the girl's voice lingered in the air, reverberating with an echo he couldn't escape. What if you weren't as alone as you think? The room darkened around him, the choice now looming larger than he had imagined. What did that mean? And more chillingly, how deep did the darkness run? The shadows danced wildly, curving into grotesque forms that seemed to mock Nathaniel's turmoil. The darkness thickened, wrapping around him like cold tendrils. His every instinct screamed to flee, but the girl stood her ground, an unwavering sentinel in the chaos. What do you mean? He gasped, his voice trembling. What darkness? Her smile faded slightly, revealing a flicker of empathy, or perhaps pity. The truth can be a light, but it can also expose what you fear most. You're not truly alone, Nathaniel. Others are wrapped in your choices, whether you want them to be or not. His heart thudded painfully, and the weight of her words pressed down, forcing him to confront the tangled web of relationships he had constructed. Unseen consequences loomed like a storm on the horizon, threatening to engulf not just him, but everyone he held dear. From the corner of his eye, Nathaniel saw movement. A figure emerged from the shadows, a tall silhouette framed against the dim light. He squinted, recognition mixing with dread as a familiar face stepped forward. It was Oliver, his former business partner, eyes ablaze with a mix of anger and desperation. You think you can just walk away from this, Nathaniel? Oliver's voice was venomous, each word laced with betrayal. You think the truth will set you free? You're wrong. Everything you touch turns to ash. Nathaniel recoiled, feeling the room tilt. The air felt thick, suffocating, and the walls pulsed like a living creature, drawing nearer. What are you doing here? He managed, voice barely a whisper. You're dead? Oliver interrupted, a dark laugh spilling from his lips. So was I, but the world doesn't let go of its secrets that easily, does it? A chill washed over Nathaniel, his pulse racing. This can't be happening. You're not. You can't be real. Oh, but I am, Oliver replied, taking a step closer, shrouding Nathaniel in his ominous presence. You failed me, Nathaniel. You left me to fall. And now, we are bound together in this dance of shadows until you confront your truth. The girl stood silently, watching the interplay unfold, her expression unreadable. Nathaniel felt the walls echo their muted breaths and imprisoned whispers, an unsettling realization dawning. Whatever fear had brought them to this moment was rooted deeper than he had ever imagined. Nathaniel, listen, the girl urged, taking a step forward. If you don't confront the lies, if you don't face what you've done, this darkness will consume everyone you love. They'll be drawn into your web. His thoughts spiraled, memories flashed like lightning, a brother, a wife, a friend caught in the crossfire of his ambition. Did they already know? Were they waiting for him to save them, or had he sealed their fates? What do I need to do? He croaked, his voice thick with emotion. Tell me. Speak the truth, the girl said firmly, but be prepared for the storm it brings. As he braced himself, the ground shook violently beneath his feet, walls cracking and splintering as though they were about to cave in. The light flickered wildly, bathing everything in an eerie glow, as if the very universe was holding its breath. Now, Oliver bellowed, filled with energy that crackled in the air. Reveal your darkness before it takes you. Nathaniel stood at the precipice, dialed into the raw fear pulsating through him. Was he truly ready to shatter the illusions, to lay bare his sins? With a deep, shuddering breath, he opened his mouth, prepared to unleash the truth that had chained him for so long. But then, a deafening crash reverberated through the room, cutting him off before he could speak. The floor trembled, a fracturing sound echoing in his ears, and in an instant, the light vanished completely. A panic surged through him, clawing at his throat. What would happen next? Would he be swallowed whole by the shadows? As darkness enveloped him, he wondered, was this the end or just the beginning? Did he dare to break the silence of his heart? The silence was deafening. It pressed down on Nathaniel, suffocating and heavy. He blinked rapidly, trying to regain his bearings in the pitch blackness. No shapes, no shadows, just an oppressive void where fear twisted into a living thing. Nathaniel, a whisper slithered through the void, chilling him to the bone. Do you see now? He recognized the voice. It belonged to the girl. Her presence felt near but was indistinct, as if she were both comforting and terrifying all at once. Where are you? He managed, his heart racing, feeling utterly unmoored. I'm right here, she whispered, her voice a ghostly echo. You must confront what you've denied. And what is that? He shot back, frustration mingling with terror. The truth? What if I can't bear it? The shadows stirred around him, responding to his desperate energy. The air grew electric, crackling with the buildup of something monumental. You must face it, or they will be lost, she urged, each word wrapped in urgency. In that moment, a sudden light sliced through the darkness, illuminating a scene strewn with ghostly figures. They all floated around him, faces twisted in expressions of sorrow and anguish. His brother, his wife, his friend, they looked like echoes of his past mistakes, caught in an endless cycle of despair. He staggered back, hands covering his mouth, struggling to breathe. Why are you here? He shouted, his voice shaking, raw with emotion. What do you want from me? We want the truth, Nathaniel, his brother's voice responded, smooth yet cutting, as if it were made of broken glass. You have haunted us with your silence. You can't just keep running. Running? Nathaniel gasped, realization shimmering in his chest. I never meant to. I thought I was doing what was best. Best for whom? Oliver's specter emerged from the crowd, eyes burning. Best for you or everyone else. You wielded your ambition like a sword, Nathaniel. And now it's time to own the blood on its blade. No, he screamed, hands gripping his hair, the pain of memory flooding him. I didn't mean to hurt anyone. I wanted to succeed. Success at what cost? The girls stood before him now, illuminated by the dim light surrounding them. You hold their truths as prisoners, Nathaniel. You must set them free even if it destroys you. Each face cried out in anguish, a cacophony of unfulfilled lives haunting him. Nathaniel could feel their pain wrapping around him tighter than the darkness had. Time seemed to stall as he waded through memories, each more vivid than the last, the secrets, the lies, all hanging in the air like heavy smoke. "Fine," he shouted, anguish breaking through the barrier of his resolve. "I can't hold on to it anymore. I will face it." He turned toward the shifting collective of shadows. "I will tell the truth, but know that I cannot undo the past. I'm sorry." A thunderous crack rang around him, jolting him from his thoughts. The shadows rippled, transforming into a swirling vortex, pulling him closer, spinning faster. He felt as if he were floating, weightless, yet his heart demandingly slammed against his ribcage. The girl reached out a hand, her eyes fierce. "Remember, Nathaniel, each truth you reveal will break this cycle. Each truth will demand a price." "What price?" he yelled. But the questions were drowned amidst the thunderous chaos as the world around him began to shatter into a million pieces. He had one last thought, a flicker of hope that perhaps, just perhaps, he could finally be free. Then, everything exploded into blinding white light. What would he be willing to sacrifice? In that moment, standing on the edge of everything, the real question crashed down upon him. Could he survive the storm he was about to unleash? The blinding light surrounded Nathaniel, a searing white that felt both punishing and cleansing. For an instant, it consumed him entirely, and then, as quickly as it came, it dimmed, spilling him into a new reality. He collapsed onto cool, rough concrete, gasping for air. The ground crunched beneath him, littered with shards of glass and gravel. Slowly, he blinked the brightness away, raising his head to see nothing but shadows once more. He was alone, but not quite. The air buzzed with tension, thick enough to cut. "Nathaniel, you are on borrowed time." The girl's voice echoed, seeming to come from every direction. Her tone was different now, less comforting, more urgent. "You made a promise." He rose, feeling the weight of her words settle on his shoulders like a shroud. Where am I?" he croaked, his throat dry. "You're walking through the realm of truths and sacrifices," she replied, her silhouette flickering at the edge of his vision. "You chose to confront what you've hidden. The question is, will you face it alone, or allow those you have wronged to guide you?" A tremor ran through him. Faces flashed in his mind, each a reminder of betrayal, negligence, and pain. Tears stung his eyes as the pressure of their expectations washed over him like a tumultuous tide. "I can't. How do I even start?" "Fear is your largest barrier," she murmured, stepping closer. "Let it go. You hold the key, Nathaniel. Speak their names, speak your truths, and the chains binding them will shatter." He shivered as waves of doubt crashed over him. "But what if I can't bear it?" The thought coiled tightly in his chest. "You already bear it by not facing it," she whispered, her voice growing faint. "It will consume you unless you choose differently." The darkness rolled back slightly, revealing a narrow path that twisted like a serpent through an eerie landscape. Shadows writhed at the edges, tormented souls caught in limbo, whispering his name, pleading. He could feel their sadness echoing in his bones. The scream of his own conscience clawed at him. With each step taken, memories erupted like fireworks, moments of truth he had suppressed, broken promises, the hum of joy replaced by the quiet resignation of despair. He clutched his stomach, feeling bile rise. "I can't change the past. Every truth brings you closer to freedom," the girl urged, each word piercing through the whirlwind of anguish spiraling within him. "Speak one, just one, and they will be closer than ever." He took a staggering breath, heart pounding viciously. "Oliver, I should have stood by you." He stumbled over the name. "You needed me." The air around him shimmered, as if reacting to his admission. The shades surrounding him seemed to exhale, lessening the weight of his fears. Hope flickered like a candle in his chest, weak but persistent. "You can feel it, can't you?" the girl encouraged, her voice now a lilting melody amidst the chaos. "Just tell the truth of your wife." His resolve began to crumble. "Jennifer, I was a coward. I let you down. I never realized how much your love bore." The darkness rippled again, whispering a sweeter tone, as if his words had unlocked something profound. But each truth demanded payment. The price stirred deep within, pulling at his heartstrings with each revelation. Every shred of honesty costs something precious. "Nathaniel," the girl cautioned, her tone almost somber. "What do I have left to lose?" he asked, eyes wide and desperate. But even as he spoke, a sudden, bone-chilling wind swept through, the shadows coiling like snakes ready to strike. The air thickened with impending dread, a promise of consequences looming. Suddenly, a distant wail echoed from the path ahead, cutting through the oppressive silence. He froze, heart racing. Is that someone else? Nathaniel whispered, the reality dawning upon him. Perhaps, if you dare to venture deeper, the girl murmured, but her voice held an edge of urgency. You must be prepared for what you might find. As Nathaniel weighed his next move, a single thought pressed down upon him. What if revealing the truths cost more than he ever imagined? Could he handle the consequences of what lay ahead? The wail grew louder, echoing off the jagged walls that surrounded him like an unyielding cage. It was a sound filled with anguish, raw and desperate, like a plea for help from the depths of despair. Nathaniel's heart struggled to keep pace with the turmoil inside him, a frantic drumbeat urging him to flee, yet something deeper pulled him forward. Who is it? He called out, his voice breaking under the weight of fear. The shadowy figures shifted, reacting to his inquiry, their whispers intermingling into a maddening chorus that clawed at the corners of his sanity. You must confront your truths, Nathaniel, the girl insisted, her form swaying dangerously on the periphery. Each step further down this path leads to clarity, but also danger. What do you seek? I want to know what happened. I want to find them. He shouted back, desperation seeping through his words like a tremor. It felt impossible, yet he was drawn forward, sensing a push from beyond the veil of shadows that as he neared the source of the wail, shapes began to materialize. Flickers of past moments, faces he recognized, and others he didn't. Each formed into a glimpse of memories he had locked away. His breath hitched as his former best friend, Oliver, emerged from the shroud of regret, looking just as Nathaniel had left him disheveled and betrayed. Nathaniel. Oliver's voice trembled, sorrow written across his features. You didn't save me. No. Nathaniel shouted back, shaking his head furiously. I was there, I tried. But the choice was taken from me. The shadows whirled, feeding off his rising terror. They twisted and churned around Oliver, who looked on with haunting disappointment. You kept your mouth shut. You were afraid, fearing what they'd do, what I would lose. No, you don't understand, Nathaniel said, feeling the warmth of regret swell in his chest. I didn't want to lose you. I thought. Thought what? That your silence would keep me safe? Oliver stepped closer, his sorrow turning into a heavy shadow that loomed over Nathaniel. Your lies buried everyone, Nathaniel. What do you think they lost because of you? As every question hung in the air like a noose, another echo pierced through. A high-pitched voice, fragile yet potent. Daddy? Nathaniel spun around, the air turning icy. Who's there? A little girl emerged from the darkness, her eyes flooded with unshed tears. He felt his gut twist as he recognized her, a ghost of what he had lost, the daughter he hadn't been able to save. I waited for you. An icy grip closed around his heart. Lucy. Her name fell from his lips like an unintentional curse, and the world spiraled faster around him. I tried to be there. I thought, what did you think? She stepped closer, her tiny hands now balled into fists, trembling not from malice, but hurt. That leaving me would protect me? That breaking the promise would make it all better? He fell to his knees, anguish cracking through his facade. No. I thought it would shield you. I never wanted this pain. I never wanted you to suffer. The truth is heavy, Daddy, she said softly, a voice echoing with years of hurt. But it's not the weight that scares you. It's facing me. The shadows roared, culminating in a cacophony of sorrow, wrapping him in chains forged from his own choices. Nathaniel felt the pressure of impending collapse. How could he continue? How could he push past this torment? You want to save them? The girl's voice broke through the turmoil again. Then you need to speak. Speak with honesty. With his heart on display, throbbing and raw, he looked into her soft, pleading eyes. I failed you. I didn't protect you. The darkness thrashed violently, contrasting against the pain of his confession. Ghostly images flickered before him, whispering accusations and pleading for salvation. Say more, the girl urged, an unwavering guide in the viscerally chaotic storm. What happened next? Nathaniel felt the walls of his resolve crumbling. What lay ahead was a chasm of uncertainty, but surrender felt like exploding dam waters. He took a breath, grappling with the enormity of his unvoiced truths. It was now or never. I should have chosen differently. All this time I should have chosen love. The wail intensified, reverberating as the shadows converged. He steeled himself, bracing for the inevitable shift that would come. And then he asked the question that clawed at him painfully. What happens if I can't face it? A chilling silence enveloped them, waiting. Would the consequences of his choices drown him in his own anguish? The ground trembled beneath him, hinting that the reckoning was relentless. Was he ready to surrender? The truth lurked just beyond the shadowed horizon, but would it deliver him from the ghosts of his past, or drag him into the abyss? The wail morphed into a deafening roar, lashing out at Nathaniel, closing in around him like a noose tightening with each breath. He felt it claw at his insides, a reminder of every moment he had hesitated, every choice he had let slip away. His heart pounded wildly, desperation clawing at his throat. "Lucy," he cried, urgency coloring his tone. "Please, don't leave me." The air grew colder around him, shadows elongating like fingers reaching for his sanity. Lucy's face blurred, tears flowing like a river of sorrow. "You don't even know, do you?" Her little voice, once filled with joy, now carried the weight of 1,000 unasked questions. "You think facing it will free you, but it's not that easy. You have to decide." "Decide what?" "Decide if you can handle the truth. If you can handle me." In that moment, time stretched, and the shadows pulsed with an inescapable darkness. Ghostly wisps coiled around him, tangible memories tangling in his chest, whispering of lost time and splintered paths. Nathaniel squeezed his eyes shut, trying to block out the sights, the sounds. Yet he could still hear Oliver's disappointed voice echoing through the chamber. "Your choice put me in the dark," Oliver taunted, his image flickering with each pulse of sorrow. "You're not alone in this, Nathaniel. You buried us all." With a deep breath, Nathaniel reopened his eyes, galvanizing himself against the swirling, paralyzing dread. He had to take control or be swallowed whole. "Maybe I failed you. But listen," he spoke to the shadows, to the flickers of betrayal and despair. "I was afraid. I didn't want to hurt anyone. I wanted to protect you both." Silence fell, oppressively thick, as the shadows drew closer, challenging him with their intensity. "Protect?" Lucy whispered, her voice cutting through the void. "Or imprison? Your silence kept us in chains, Dad. Chains don't protect." He yelled, struggling to contain the flood of emotion threatening to spill over. "I thought I could fix it all by keeping the truth buried. I thought it would put an end to the chaos and let you live." But, as he spoke, the truth felt like shrapnel lodged in his throat. The more he tried to defend his actions, the more guilt piled on like heavy bricks. Each painful inhale reminded him of everything he had overlooked, everything he had lost. "It didn't protect me, and it hasn't protected you, has it?" Lucy's little fists shook with emotion. Each syllable sliced through him, raw and real. "You keep saying you didn't want to hurt anyone, but where is everyone now?" The shadows surged, swirling as if in agreement with her pain. Visions of chaos, of those he had wronged, flashed around him, threatening to draw him down into despair. Nathaniel pressed his hands to his head, the memories pressing hard against his skull. "Stop. Just stop," he begged, his voice barely a whisper now, lost in the cacophony around him. "What do you want from me?" Lucy stepped forward again, her eyes locked onto his with a fervor that made his skin crawl. "I want you to tell the truth. To stop hiding. Face it." The ground trembled beneath him, and suddenly he sensed something shift. The shadows recoiled slightly, as if anticipating his next move. He felt the walls closing in not just around him, but also around the truth he had suppressed for so long. "Okay, I will. I'll tell it." His heart raced as he grasped the gravity of his own words, the weight of those unspoken thoughts crashing over him. His voice wavered but firmed at the same time. "I was scared of losing you both. So scared that I made the wrong choice. I thought that pretending everything was fine would keep you safe. I thought I could shield you from the world's ugly truths by burying my own." The very fabric of reality seemed to shudder at his confession. As words spilled like stones from his lips, the shadows wailed, twisting and contorting. "Truth does not frighten me." The intensity of his own declaration fueled something deep within. "It must be faced for all of you that I lost." But before he could process what he had just revealed, a blinding light burst forth from the depths, illuminating the chamber with a blinding intensity, unraveling the darkness, if only momentarily. And then came a chilling silence. Had he turned the tide? Or had he unleashed something far more dangerous? In that moment of stillness, he realized he hadn't just released his guilt. He awakened something. As the brightness flickered, he heard a voice deep and resonant carving its way through the remnants of despair. Your time is running out, Nathaniel. The past cannot be changed, but the future it has yet to be written. Nathaniel's heart sank as the light began to ebb and shadows rushed back like a wave. It was now more important than ever to uncover the truth hidden beneath layers of regret. But what would it cost him? He felt himself waver, the pressure building, ready to crush him under its weight. The truth was out, but was he prepared for the consequences? The shadows surged forward again, encircling him as the ghostly faces whispered in unison. What did you leave unspoken? The question hung in the charged air, thick with impending doom. Nathaniel stood at the edge of an abyss. Would he have the courage to face all that lay ahead? Or would he let the shadows drag him into oblivion? The air thickened again, heavier this time as if saturated with dread. Nathaniel's breaths came in quick gasps, each one slicing through the silence as shadows coiled tighter around him. Every flicker of light felt like a cruel joke, illuminating truths he had kept shackled for far too long. Unspoken, what did you leave unspoken? The voices pressed closer, their tone mingling with the rush of memories he had buried. They were relentless, circling him like a pack of wolves, hungry for the blood of his secrets. Enough, he shouted, fists clenched at his sides. Nathaniel fought against the rising tide of panic, knowing the shadows fed off his fear. I will not be a prisoner of my past anymore. But those words fell like stones into a still pond, their ripples swallowed by darkness. The shadows sneered, eyes gleaming with an ancient hunger. Then speak, Nathaniel. Speak your truth and free yourself. For a brief moment, he hesitated. Did he have the strength to confront what he had hidden? Images of Lucy and Oliver surfaced, happy, smiling faces that morphed into haunted visages that seemed to accuse him of his cowardice. He felt a cold sweat prickling across his skin, an urgency to choose wisely hanging heavy in the air. I never wanted to lose you both, he whispered, his voice cracking like dry branches underfoot. But the truth, what happened that night, it's too much. If I say it out loud, it will destroy me. Or it will free you. Lucy's voice echoed in his mind with a purity that felt like a balm on his frayed nerves. You can't shield yourself from pain, Dad. It doesn't work that way. The shadows shifted, a restless entity of whispering fears and grief. He could feel their cold breath at his back, enticing him to succumb to despair. But deep inside, Nathaniel knew what lay ahead was the key. I was wrong. He finally cried out, strength surging through him as he fought against the oppressive darkness. I was wrong to keep you both from the truth. I should have told you about that night. About the accident. At the mention of the word accident, the shadows responded, a low growl emanating from their depths. Faces twisted in agony appeared, flickering with each pulse of anguish. He swallowed the bile rising in his throat. A part of him wanted to recoil, to retreat into the safety of silence, but then Lucy's innocent image pierced through, urging him forward. I thought if I kept it all quiet, if I buried the pain, you'd both be safe. I never thought it would come to this, that I'd lose you to the dark because of my fear. The shadows lunged, but this time Nathaniel was ready. His heart thudded with determination. I never told you about the fight, the screams, the crash. I thought I could take it all on myself, absorb the blame like a sponge. But it was never just my burden to bear. A silence fell again, palpable and heavy with dread. The shadows recoiled slightly, their form wavering as if they hadn't expected this revelation. You held the truth back, Nathaniel, they hissed, voices intertwining in a ghostly chorus. You thought it would protect them, but it didn't. You failed to protect yourself. Suddenly, a memory burst forth like a flame igniting dry kindling. The look on Lucy's face when she realized the world around her was not as perfect as her father painted it. The cracks in his facade had always been visible to her. If only he had let her in sooner. I'm sorry, the word poured from his lips like a desperate prayer. I'm sorry I didn't believe you could handle the truth. I should have trusted both of you more. With that, the atmosphere shifted. The shadows writhed and twisted, and with Nathaniel's confession came a new energy, almost positive, crackling with intensity. The oppressive chill lessened, making way for a strange warmth that threatened to burst through. Is it too late? He murmured, almost to himself, as hope dangled before him like a fragile thread. Can I still save you both? Before the shadows could answer, the lights surged again, brighter than before, illuminating every corner of the chamber. As it flickered, a haunting refrain echoed, a wordless cry of anguish pursued by a whisper that felt familiar, yet foreign. Time is not just running out. Nathaniel, it has a way of circling back. The shadows shrank momentarily, revealing a figure behind their twisted forms. Nathaniel's breath hitched as the familiar features locked onto his gaze, a face he thought he would never see again. Lucy? But it wasn't just her. It was someone more, someone unexpected. Just as she opened her mouth to speak, darkness surged around Nathaniel one last time, forcing him to confront whether this was truly a moment of salvation or the beginning of a reckoning that would shatter the remnants of his world. Are you ready for the consequences? The apparition asked, and Nathaniel felt the tension spiral out of control. And with that question ringing in his ears, he knew the shadows were just the beginning. What consequences awaited him when he finally tore down the walls and faced it all? The silence that filled the chamber was almost deafening. Nathaniel could feel it pressing down on him, a palpable weight suffocating the air. The radiant light from Lucy's figure flickered, casting dancing shadows around him, blending memories with dark desires. It was a crossroads of the past and future, waiting for him to make an essential choice. Are you ready for the consequences? The question floated around him, echoing with urgency. Nathaniel's heart pounded in his chest, each beat a reminder of the finality of his decision. I don't know if I can handle it. His voice wavered, cracking under the pressure of the weight he carried for so long. But Lucy stepped closer, her expression tear-streaked, but resolute. It's okay to be scared, Dad, but you have to choose. You can begin healing us all, or you can stay lost in the dark. He felt anger flare within him, fury at the situation, but mostly at himself. You think it's that simple? He snapped, frustration rising. As if saying I'm sorry would fix everything? It's a start. Her voice was small but bold, rooted in an understanding beyond her years, that S when it struck him. Perhaps it wasn't about fixing everything in one fell swoop. Perhaps revealing the truth started a path toward resolution, rather than a path to punishment. It didn't erase the pain, but it opened the door to healing. What if I tell you everything? He breathed, losing himself in thought. What if I bare my soul, and it changes nothing? What if it only makes things worse? Lucy's eyes softened. You can't decide that for us, Dad. We need to hear your truth, no matter how hard it is. It's about choice and trust. A whirlwind of emotions cascaded within him. The truth felt like a glitch in reality, tantalizing yet terrifying. With every moment spent locked in this dark, suffocating space, Nathaniel understood this wasn't just a confrontation with those who had been lost. It was about finding himself, finding the man he wanted to be. I was wrong, he finally shouted, the conviction gaining momentum. I tried to shield you both from something ugly. I thought protecting you meant hiding it away, pretending it never happened. He could feel his hands shake, heat rising inside him. But all it did was build layers of lies. I will not let my fear bind you. They are my fears to own, not yours. The shadows stirred, shifting restlessly, as if they too were listening. He could see flickers of their anguish dissipate, the shadows pulling back a fraction, a sign that they were ready to hear him, too. The night of the accident, he pressed on, each word heavier than the last. I should have made better choices. I let anger blind me in that moment. And then he inhaled, struggling against the pain of memory. I lost control. I thought if I wrapped it all up in silence, you'd remain untouched, safe. But I was living a lie. The moment he said it, the room lit up like fireworks, ripples of light breaking through the shadows as clarity washed over him. What happened that night? I can't change, he continued, voice unwavering now. But I understand now that keeping it buried has haunted us all. Your cries, your loss. Oliver's pain, it changed us in ways I couldn't see. I never wanted that for you too. The air hummed vibrantly, a strange dance of energies ebbing and flowing around him. Tears streamed down Nathaniel's cheeks as he let the truth spill out, unrestrained. I was so consumed by what was lost, I didn't realize what I could have saved. Lucy's expression shimmered with hope, a brightness breaking through the haze of darkness. Thank you, Dad, she murmured. This is how we heal. The shadows surged back, swirling violently around Nathaniel, clawing at his focus. But instead of fear, he felt the tightness in his chest loosen. With every spoken truth, he saw faces illuminated, their suffering mingling with a dawning understanding that he was finally here, finally fighting alongside them. If facing the truth means losing everything, then so be it. He shouted into the chaos. I refuse to hide. I choose to be seen for the broken man I've become, and I'll never hide from my heart again. And with that powerful declaration, the turbulence reached a fever pitch. Suddenly the entire room exploded with blinding light, shadows recoiling as if burned by the essence of sincerity. It was chaotic but liberating, each truth unfurling like wings, spreading out into the air around him. Flickering silhouettes filled the space, expressions shifting from sorrow to forgiveness. Echoes of his daughter and Oliver seemed to harmonize with the light, creating a melody that shattered the dark. It was beautiful, pure, a balm for all their pain. Dad, Lucy cried out, her smile infusing warmth into his very soul. You did it. We're here with you. The energy pulsed, enveloping Nathaniel until every ounce of heaviness had been replaced with vitality, igniting his entire being with newfound purpose. The light expanded out into shadows and darkness, tracing the edges of his memories, illuminating every corner of regret. And in that expanse of bright clarity, he tossed aside the burdens he once carried so tightly. His lips stretched into a wry smile as he finally understood. The only thing lost was his illusion of safety, and in return, he had been gifted a chance to truly live. As the world around him shifted and coalesced, he felt the presence of those he loved surround him. They were there, every name he whispered, each truth laid bare, and every shadow melted away, leaving only the light of love and connection. Time has a way of circling back, echoed a voice just beyond the blinding brilliance, the girl's voice lingering in the air. Nathaniel understood what she meant. His past wouldn't shape his future anymore. The darkness had been faced, the truth whirled around him, settling gently, leaving him forever changed. Because now, rather than hide from the reality of his choices, Nathaniel Grant could finally embrace the light of love, building a better world from the truth he once feared. And he took that first step into the awaiting dawn, arms wide open, into a new beginning. Now, behold the power of truth. If you found this story moving, remember to subscribe immediately to our channel so you won't miss any of the exclusive stories that will unfold next. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and support us in bringing you more emotional journeys. Flood the comments section with your thoughts and theories about Nathaniel's transformation. And don't wait even one more second, share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this powerful conclusion. You need to support the channel. Only true fans understand the importance of these actions.